been a little unconscious. Well, he did another piece of artwork back in 1947 again. That could lend credence to this. And it was known to be called The Face to be Seen from Mars. And this is 1947. And Sama Noguchi proposed to build this huge earthen structure. It's going to be a mile long, half-mile wide. Its nose was going to reach into the sky a mile. Pillar of the nose, a mile tall. So big that, well, it would only be recognizable from the distance of the moon or possibly Mars. Hence the name, The Face to be Seen from Mars. And, well, what Noguchi, he's a Japanese-American artist, what he intended by this in 1947 was if we were to destroy ourselves in a nuclear holocaust, back in those days we were testing bombs and stuff, well, the extraterrestrials would be able to recognize that at one time there was a civilized race on planet Earth. Not sure how civilized if we actually blew ourselves up in a nuclear holocaust, but, incredible idea by Mr. Noguchi. Now remember, this is 1947. So this is where it gets interesting. 30 years later, NASA sent images back from Mars, depicting what they call a face on Mars. When you put the face on Mars, discovered in the 70s next to Noguchi's face on Mars, designed in the 40s, they're almost identical. Symbolically speaking, they are. So it begs the question, where did Noguchi get this information? Could he have possibly, Ann Strieber said this one time in an interview with William, could he have possibly tapped into the spirit of the deceased Martians? That's a possibility. Or could he have possibly tapped into some cosmic consciousness? The same cosmic consciousness that whoever built the face on Mars tapped into.
Exactly. Everything is in the Akashic record, so that could be a thing.
Exactly. So somewhere Noguchi's pulling out this information that's being put into his blueprints and coming out in forms of art like this. And, to me this lends credence. If he was to design a Heart Plaza, even not intentionally for the Giza pyramids, he may be getting these cosmic downloads. 1947, recall. That's the same year that Eros Saarinen, he imagined the Gateway Arch. It's the same year Eros Saarinen imagined Heart Plaza. 1947 is the same year Noguchi proposed the face to be seen on Mars. Let's go through these one more time. The Saarinens envisioned a civic center at the base of Woodward in downtown Detroit, and about 30 years later, Osamu Noguchi comes to town and builds it. At the exact same time, 47, Eros Saarinen, he's imagining the Gateway Arch. About 20 years later, it's brought into fruition. Same year, 47, Noguchi's proposing to build a face to be seen from Mars. Around 30 years later, a possible face on Mars is discovered. And the Roswell incident, 1947, of course, is bringing interstellar travel into the consciousness of humanity. All this is taking place in 1947. So, what was going on? Was the veil thinner in 1947? Were these guys able to tap into this cosmic consciousness? I can't say for sure. But what I can say is that most of these monuments were imagined in 1947. And they weren't brought into fruition until 20 or 30 years later. And the symbolism is only starting to be recognized right now when the time is right. Just like Mr. Noguchi told us in his own words. So, after Noguchi leaves Heart Plaza, he creates this incredible Stargate park, as I like to refer to it. Where does he go? What's he do? He goes to Cleveland, Ohio. And he builds the portal. It's not that fancy of a looking monument, but the name in itself tells us exactly what he's thinking about. This is the portal. He flies from Cleveland. Next up, Hawaii. And he builds the Sky Gate. He says in his own words, the Sky Gate is symbolic of a gateway to outer space, a gateway to our cosmos. So, I think Noguchi was a man in contact. When you read some of his interviews and stuff, he repeats this phrase over and over I'm a man in contact. I was a man in contact. I'm a man in contact. And it really made no sense at first.
Yes.
I noticed if you take the S out of his first name, it's I am you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great one. So anyway, I think Noguchi, albeit consciously or not, created us a cosmic temple right outside the doors, actually, where we can go and visit and connect with these same stellar and cosmic energies that he once connected with. This is something we can all do. It's not the only one. Everything we have looked at so far was built back in the 1970s. And what if I told you we haven't even gotten to the gateway symbolism yet? In 2001, Detroit held its tricentennial birthday. And I call this the emergence of the gates, because this is when a lot of the gateways started showing up in Detroit. We had a brand new park put in. The name of the blueprint was the Gateway Vision. Back at Hart Plaza, along the riverfront, brand new monument called the Gateway to Freedom. And this monument, this exact area was once one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad. This is where slaves, this was the last stop before they gained freedom across the river in Ontario. And it took on the name the Gateway to Freedom. And this monument was actually created by a sculptor named Ed DeWhite. Ed DeWhite, I mean, there's a true cosmic connection. Ed DeWhite was our first African-American astronaut, appointed by John F. Kennedy personally. And he comes down here and creates the Gateway to Freedom. Now the guy pointing here, this is the conductor of the Underground Railroad. He's actually pointing the slaves across the river to Windsor, Ontario, where the companion piece to this monument resides, and it's called the Tower of Freedom. And together these two monuments make up the National Memorial for the Underground Railroad. Back at Hart Plaza, there's this monument. I had no clue what to make of this at first. And I took William down there and he pointed out to me, kind of looks like the Tower of Babel. And I can see what he's getting at. You got the spiral staircase. Up top, you even got those cameras up there. You call them the Watchers. And the Forest and Sun Fountain. We talked about this, but 2001 they rededicated it, gave it a brand new plaque. Brand new plaque says it's an engine of water at the gateway to a great city. Once again, referring to our plaza as a gateway. And now we come to the real gateway, the transcending gateway. And this is kind of, over time, becoming the icon of Detroit. Just like Cloud Gate, just like the Gateway Arch. This is Detroit's right here, transcending. And it's a 63-foot tall ring. And around the base, if you look at the bottom right-hand side, around the base of the ring, there's a green granite spiral that wraps around and leads you to the center of the gateway. And this, like all these other things, was a gift to Detroit for the 300th birthday. It's a United Auto Workers monument. And, well,